people get their news from 1010 Wins than from any other radio station in the nation. Christian Alexander is our service aide. Senior writer Walter Geis and Sarah Milano are the writers. Justin Schrager is at the editor's desk. I'm Larry Camp.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good afternoon. 74 degrees and cloudy in Manhattan at 1 o'clock. I'm Linda Lopez, and here's what's happening. Rain and thunderstorms expected to stay with us today, possibly for the next couple of days, and could be heavy at times. We'll bring you the latest in AccuWeather coming up. Governor Hochul has unveiled some new concepts for the redesign of the Long Island Railroad Concourse at Penn Station. The city has announced a second round of open streets locations in all 5 boroughs for the summer. NBC News is reporting that about half a dozen Secret Service agents have now testified before the grand jury that will decide whether or not to indict Donald Trump for his alleged role in the January 6th riot at the Capitol. The next big advance in cancer treatment could be a vaccine, and it could be a reality in about 5 years. 1010 Wins AccuWeather, warm and humid for the rest of today. We'll see some clouds, as well as some showers and possibly drenching thunderstorms. High 81 in the city today. Winds News Time, 1:01. That means it's time for traffic and transit on the ones. Good afternoon, Greg Rice.
Good afternoon, Linda. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big 3. Southern State Parkway westbound, word of a crash getting over to Peninsula Boulevard as it gets worse from the Meadowbrook into the area. And the Southern State, a whole other mess ahead of you from Fletcher Avenue getting onto the Cross Island because of construction. Sunrise Highway going to treat you a little kinder. LI and Northern State westbound, both are bad from Shelter Rock Road getting into Queens. So pick your poison. Further down the line on the LI and Queens westbound, just after the Grand Central, earlier broken down van managed to limp off to the shoulder. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound George, 40 to 60 on the upper, 30 to 40 on the lower. There is nothing good getting you out of town. West side with northbound construction of the 150s. That's still the best you do. Lincoln's about 10 minutes in. Outbound side of the Lincoln Tunnel, no more than 15. We're up to 20 to 30, though, at the outbound Holland. Inbound Holland, 15 from the Skyway, but worse for a change. It's 25 to 30 off of the Newark Bay, so save your time and money off of the inbound Skyway. Traffic is sponsored by Rally Motor Company. The Rally Motors family of dealerships, Acura, BMW, Lexus, and Mercedes, proudly celebrates 65 years of serving the tri-state area. Experience luxury simplified at rally.com. That's RALLYE.com. I'm Greg Rice, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
And let's get a check of our 1010 Wins AccuWeather forecast. Here's Brian Thompson.
And Linda, we are watching some showers and thunderstorms again this afternoon, and some of these storms are going to be on the stronger side, perhaps even severe as we get through the afternoon. Damaging wind gusts and hail will be the main threats. But pretty much with any thunderstorm that's around today, we're going to have some flooding downpours. It is quite humid again today. A lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and it will, again, create some heavy downpours with some of these storms moving on through. We have some storms across Staten Island right now, through Newark and Elizabeth, just getting into Newark right now, through Elizabeth, back through Plainfield. These are moving to the north and east, so these will spread over the city over the next hour or so, and then we'll continue to see a threat for some showers, storms the rest of the afternoon, even into the evening hours. Linda?
Meteorologist Brian Thompson with our 1010 Wins AccuWeather forecast. And if you have a flight, you might want to check the schedule before heading to the airport. Today's storms have forced the delay or cancellation of about 3,000 flights around the U.S., including scores at JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark. It seems United has it the worst out of the domestic airlines, but Delta isn't far behind. Well, it's a new beginning for the design process on the renovation of the Long Island Railroad Concourse at Penn Station. Our 1010 Wins reporter Juliet Papa is there and joins us now live. Juliet.
That's right, Linda. Here at Penn, where all this construction is underway, you could see the scaffolding outside for months and months now. Governor Hochul stood alongside MTA Chair Jan Oliver with a group of noisy protesters behind them, announcing plans to move forward with the continuing renovation of this transit hub. Now, the governor says they are decoupling, her words, the part of the project that included commercial buildings. She says instead it will be about making the space around this area greener, making traffic access better, and bringing sunlight into Penn. The protesters were people who live here in this neighborhood and say, according to the current plan, their buildings will be wiped out. So it's not clear whether the footprint without the commercial buildings remains the same. The commercial buildings were in fact going to fund the project, but Hochul says there is state money set aside and they're relying on federal funding as well. Linda?
Our Juliet Papa reporting live from Penn Station. Today is arraignment day for a Long Island man facing DWI charges in a wrong-way crash that killed 2 teenagers. Amandeep Singh entered a not guilty plea on charges that also include vehicular homicide and leaving the scene of an accident. If convicted, he faces as many as 32 years behind bars. Authorities say the 34-year-old was drunk and speeding while headed in the wrong direction on North Broadway in Jericho 2 weeks ago when he slammed his vehicle into a car, killing 14-year-olds Drew Hassenbein and Ethan Falkowitz. According to reports, when Singh was arrested, he was so drunk he told officers he believed he was in New Jersey. The New York City Transportation Department has announced a second round of open streets locations for this summer. Sites will be in all 5 boroughs, including East 123rd Street in Manhattan, Front Street in Staten Island, and Ridge Boulevard in Brooklyn. You can get the full list at the DOT's website. The grand jury investigation continues into Donald Trump's role in the January 6th riot at the Capitol. Sources tell NBC News that about half dozen or so Secret Service agents have testified before that grand jury, although it's not known what information they may have provided. But the agents may be able to confirm or deny the details initially provided by former White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson, who told Congress that she heard secondhand that Trump wanted Secret Service agents to drive him to the Capitol to join the rioters, and that he even tried to grab his car's steering wheel when they refused. Trump has denied those accusations. The leader of the mercenary group that staged a mutiny over the weekend in Russia is defending his actions.
Yevgeny Prigozhin, in an audio message, said the rebellion was aimed at the Russian defense leadership, which he has repeatedly criticized. NATO leaders were quick to seize on the turn of events. In Britain, Foreign Secretary James Cleverly.
The Russian government's lies have been exposed by one of President Putin's own henchmen. It is clear that cracks are emerging in the Russian support for the war.
But it still isn't known what impact this will have in Russia for Vladimir Putin or for Prigozhin. It isn't clear where he is.
It's correspondent Cami McCormick. The Kremlin says Prigozhin and his troops will receive amnesty, but Russian media reports today say the criminal investigation against him continues. President Biden says neither the U.S. or its NATO allies were involved in the rebellion. A guilty plea today from the suspect in a mass shooting at a gay nightclub in Colorado.
Anderson Lee Aldrich facing more than 300 counts on charges of killing 5 people in a mass shooting at the Club Q nightclub in Colorado Springs, pleading guilty.
I intentionally and after deliberation caused the death of each victims listed in those counts.
And pleading guilty on 46 attempted murder counts and no contest to hate crime charges. Both the prosecution and defense requesting going to immediate sentencing. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Victims who were allowed to speak in the courtroom today called Aldrich a monster who hunted down LGBTQ patrons during the attack. In the wake of his guilty plea, he faces a sentence of life behind bars. And closing arguments are underway in the trial of the former deputy accused of failing to confront the shooter in the Parkland school shooting. Prosecutors say 60-year-old Scott Peterson arrived at the scene at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School while shots were still being fired. But instead of going inside, he took cover and stayed hidden for 40 minutes. If convicted, Peterson could lose his $100,000 a year pension and face nearly 100 years in prison. But because he had an otherwise clean record, he's not expected to spend anywhere near that long behind bars. Wins News Time, 1:09.
Millions of small business owners like Leanna Lynn choose Spectrum Business.
Spectrum Business services are essential to our business.
Call 855-282-FAST to choose Spectrum Business for your business. Get fast, reliable internet starting at $49.99 per month and the Spectrum Business Connect phone system with video conferencing for just $19.99 per month to get a free mobile line for 1 year.
I cannot live without it.
Call 855-282-FAST to choose Spectrum Business today. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
Odyssey celebrates Pride, amplifying the voices, music, and conversations of the LGBTQ plus community with
Channel Q,
our 24/7 radio station broadcasting coast to coast with music and news.
I'm CJ Robinson, waking you up from Orlando.
This is Alex D coming to you from San Diego.
And I'm Corey from New York. Odyssey celebrates Pride, not just in the month of June, but all year long with Channel Q, plus playlists and podcasts designed by and for the LGBTQ plus community. Join us at odyssey.com/pride or on the free Odyssey app.
Feeling old and decrepit because of knee arthritis pain? Taking pain meds like they're candy? Giving up everyday activities as your pain worsens? Looking down the barrel of major knee replacement? Left untreated, arthritis can eat away at the joint, slowly becoming bone on bone. If you've tried pain meds, cortisone, physical therapy, or vitamins without relief, you may be a candidate for the NYC Pain MD program. NYC Pain MD's doctors combine precision digital imaging with natural FDA-approved arthritis formulas, nerve blocks, even stem cells to turn your pain off and rejuvenate your knees. After treatment, you'll leave with nothing but a 1-inch Band-Aid. No surgery, no hospital, no toxic meds. Many pain sufferers are now able to walk, bend, climb stairs, even play golf or tennis. Many insurances, including Original Medicare, may cover these advanced treatments. Call today for a no-cost screening appointment. Call 800-600-KNEE. That's 800-600-5633. 800-600-KNEE.
Winds News Time, 1:11. Time for traffic and transit on the ones. How are we doing out there, Greg Rice?
Now, we're getting a little bit better out of Nassau County, but it's not great. It's not as bad as it was, but it's still not great on the Northern State Parkway with westbound company from Searingtown Road to Lakeville Road. Westbound LI is still awful from Shelter Rock Road all the way back past the Cross Island. Southern State slows westbound from the Meadowbrook State Parkway, getting over to Baldwin Road, but the earlier company getting onto the northbound Cross Island for the most part, that's all subsided. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and a tunnel. Citybound George, we're looking at 45 up, 30 minutes down. Nothing great out. Southbound Deegan, northbound West Side, least bad of the options. Lincoln's about 10 minutes on the inbound ride. Outbound Lincoln, you're in pretty decent shape. Biggest hurdle to jump is just a truck, parked in those lanes on 9th Avenue that lead you to the outbound Lincoln, making a bit of a mess. It's a solid 20, though, at the outbound Holland. Inbound Newark Bay is going to run you an extra 25. There's construction. The inbound Skyway, that's the better way to the inbound Holland Tunnel right now. Traffic is sponsored by Ray Cattina Lexus of Monmouth. I'm Greg Rice, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Audio. It's what you're listening to right now. And you're not alone. If you're a marketer, your clients are listening too. Audio advertising is the new media channel of choice. Learn how audio drives 48% of us to purchase and hear successful campaigns for brands in auto, fashion, and social media. Visit stateofaudio.com to learn why Odyssey should be part of your next media buy. That's stateofaudio.com.
And let's get the latest on this 1010 Winds AccuWeather forecast. We could have some severe weather coming our way. So what are we looking at, Brian Thompson?
Yeah, and certainly some heavy downpours, Linda, as we head through this Monday afternoon with some of these storms that are moving through. But some of the storms could be locally severe. Damaging wind gusts and hail will be the main threats with these storms. We have some storms coming through right now. A storm just went through Staten Island. It's now moving through Bayonne and Jersey City, heading toward lower Manhattan, heading toward parts of Brooklyn as well. Some pretty rough weather around Newark. We have some pretty heavy rain right now. Back through Summit in New Jersey. These are moving off to the north and east, and these extend northward toward Clifton, Patterson, even up to close to Mahwah. So a lot of thunderstorm activity right now across New Jersey, moving to the north and east, again, toward the city. None of this is being warned for severe weather right now, but certainly some very heavy rainfall. Could have some gusty winds with some of these storms as well. Again, damaging wind gusts, hail, the main threats, along with flooding downpours through the afternoon into the evening hours, a high of 81, and just a leftover shower later tonight, low 68. And then for tomorrow and Wednesday, remaining humid with a few showers and storms around. The severe threat will be lower the next couple of days, but we'll still certainly have the potential for downpours. Highs will be in the upper 70s. Still the risk for a shower or storm Thursday, but it looks like a quieter day overall with a high near 80. Mostly cloudy and 76 right now in Midtown. We're going up to 81. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station. 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Winds News Time, 1:13.
Hey there, I'm Mark Menard.
And I'm Zach Clark.
Together we host Odyssey's weekly quirky quiz show, Name That News.
Our goal is to bring a little levity to the news, which can be pretty heavy.
Each week we'll take some odd news clips wildly out of context, and it's up to you to figure out what they're talking about.
Yeah, we live by one motto. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
A new episode drops every Tuesday. Download Name That News using the Odyssey app or get it wherever you get your podcasts.
.com or call 800-933-1022 to speak to an expert. That's 800-933-1022.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
WINS News Time, 1:15. Well, it won't tell us if there's life on Mars right now, but a simulation getting underway today in Houston will take a long look at whether it would be possible to live on the red planet.
A Canadian biomedical scientist, a structural engineer from Virginia, a physician from Illinois, and a Romanian biochemist. They'll spend the next year pretending to be living and working on Mars. NASA will throw unexpected challenges at the team members to see how they respond. By the way, the temperature outside that simulator in Houston will approach 100 degrees today. On the actual Martian surface, about 70. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
If you have travel plans for the 4th of July, not to Mars, just, local travel plans, well, get ready to be part of a crowd. AAA is expecting a record-breaking number of travelers taking flights, driving, and setting sail on a cruise. Analysts say more than 50 million vacationers will go 50 miles or more next week, an increase of about 4% over last year, and topping the 49 million who traveled at least 50 miles for the 4th of July in 2019. Some optimism about a possible new advancement in the fight against cancer.
After decades of limited success, scientists say research has reached a turning point in the development of cancer vaccines, something that could become the future of cancer treatment. Some scientists predicting that some vaccines could be available in perhaps 5 years' time. Cancer vaccines aren't like regular vaccines that prevent disease. These shots are meant to shrink tumors and stop cancer from coming back. Experimental treatments have focused on breast and lung cancer, while gains have been reported recently for melanoma and pancreatic cancer. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
Some 2 million Muslims officially began the annual Hajj pilgrimage today, making their way out of Mecca and converging on a vast tent camp in the nearby desert for a day and night of prayer. The gathering, one of the largest religious events in the world, is returning to full capacity this year for the first time since the start of the pandemic. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and all Muslims are required to make the 5-day Hajj at least once in their lives if they're physically and financially able to do so. Controversy over its location has led to the cancellation of a Buffalo Bills player's charity golf tournament.
Safety Jordan Poyer says on Instagram his charity golf event is off and will be rescheduled next year. It's because many sponsors pulled out because it's being held at Trump National in Doral, Florida. Trouble began when teams up north, as Poyer puts it, pulled out and put pressure on a big sponsor to do the same. It did. Poyer says he's disappointed groups were unable to put politics aside to benefit the cause of the event, a foundation that boosts education for underserved populations.
That's correspondent Steve Kathan. Well, at least one person was killed when tornadoes touched down last night in Indiana.
The Martin County Emergency Management Director says the death happened at a rural home, according to WHIN. A tornado also touched down in Johnson County, where Terry Cleveland tells WRTV she narrowly avoided getting hit by debris.
All of a sudden, I heard something that sounded like you were at Niagara Falls, just roaring. I grabbed my little kitty and I ran, and just as I rounded the corner behind that window, that window blew and a 2x4 came flying through the window.
In Memphis, Tennessee, about 120,000 homes and businesses were left without power Sunday as storms carrying strong winds knocked down trees and caused other damage. I'm Julie Walker.
Still listening to 1010 Winds on the AM dial? Give us a try right now on Crystal Clear 92.3 FM.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good afternoon. 76 degrees, cloudy right now and rainy in Manhattan. I'm Linda Lopez, and here's what's happening. Thunderstorms, possibly severe weather is in the forecast for today, and storms possibly for the next couple of days. We'll bring you the latest in AccuWeather coming up. A man is under arrest after a slashing at the historic Stonewall Inn last night. Tomorrow is primary day in the district attorney races in Queens and the Bronx, along with primary day for the city council throughout the 5 boroughs. An international group of agencies is now investigating to learn why the sub carrying 5 people to the ruins of the Titanic imploded. And Prince William is launching a project to end long-term homelessness in the UK. 1010 Winds AccuWeather, warm, humid for the rest of today, as well as showers and drenching thunderstorms possible, high 81 degrees. Winds News Time, 121. Let's get our traffic and transit on the ones. And how are we doing, Greg Rice?
Well, we're doing not great across the Hudson River. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. It has been a tough morning and early afternoon getting you into the city. 45 on the upper level, which you can blame some of that on construction. Inbound lower, where there's no repair work, it's at least a 30-minute ride. Now, getting you out of town, southbound Deegan got better first, so if you can, you do. Out of Manhattan, west side, despite some construction of the 150s, it is the lesser of two evils. Now, the Lincoln Tunnel's about 10 minutes in. Outbound no more than about 10. We're up to 20 at the outbound Holland. Inbound Holland 20 to 30 from the Newark Bay. It's the Skyway that's actually the better option today. Whitestone and Throgs Neck, Queensbound, the worst of it out of the Bronx. Citybound Midtown Tunnel, not awful, just not great. And getting on to the Brooklyn-bound Brooklyn Bridge, construction work is the culprit out of Lower Manhattan. Westbound LI, the worst of it from Nassau to Queens as you crawl from Shelter Rock Road back past the Cross Island. Southern State, the worst of what's left is from Merrick Avenue, getting out towards the area of Baldwin Road. Traffic is sponsored by Schweiger Dermatology Group. I'm Greg Rice, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Millions of small business owners like Leanna Lynn choose Spectrum Business.
Spectrum Business services are essential to our business.
Call 855-282-FAST to choose Spectrum Business for your business. Get fast, reliable internet starting at $49.99 per month and the Spectrum Business Connect phone system with video conferencing for just $19.99 per month to get a free mobile line for 1 year.
I cannot live without it.
Call 855-282-FAST to choose Spectrum Business today. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
Let's get a check of our 1010 Winds AccuWeather forecast. Here's Brian Thompson.
And Linda, we've been tracking some showers and storms throughout the morning and now into the afternoon hours. So we have some downpours just starting to get into parts of Brooklyn from Bay Ridge up through about Sunset Park. These are heading also up into Lower Manhattan through Hoboken. So these will continue to move to the north and east. Nothing really severe with these storms at the moment, but they will produce some downpours. And we have more downpours north and west of the city up toward Clifton, Patterson, up toward Mahwah as well. These are areas that got hit pretty hard yesterday, and we actually do have a flood advisory in effect until 4 o'clock for Staten Island and then Union, Hudson, and Essex counties in New Jersey. We also have a severe thunderstorm watch that's just been issued until 9 o'clock this evening. That includes Monmouth, Middlesex, Somerset, Morris, and Sussex County in New Jersey. Now, all across the tri-state, we will have the potential to pick up some damaging wind gusts and hail with some of these storms in addition to the threat for flooding downpours through this afternoon. Linda?
It's our meteorologist Brian Thompson with the 1010 Winds AccuWeather forecast. A man is under arrest after a slashing at the historic Stonewall Inn. Police say a bouncer had thrown 30-year-old Christopher Lawrence out of the bar late last night, but he came back, pulled a knife, and slashed the bouncer across the face before making a run for it. But he didn't get far. Police say Lawrence was arrested on assault charges about a block away. There's been no word on the extent of the injuries to the bouncer, but he is expected to survive. Mayor Adams has announced that Diwali has been made an official holiday in New York City public schools.
This victory will allow those who did not feel seen and did not feel heard. We are saying we see you, we hear you, we respect you, and your culture is part of the New York experience.
Diwali lasts 5 days, starting in either October or November, depending on the lunar calendar. This year, it begins on November 12th. The man credited with saving New York City from bankruptcy in the 1970s has died. Richard Ravage worked behind the scenes on inventive ways to raise revenue, first saving city's Urban Development Corporation from financial collapse, then doing the same for the city's overdrawn municipal accounts just a few months later. As head of the MTA, Ravage was also seen as instrumental in rejuvenating the city's mass transit system in the 1980s. He later served as lieutenant governor during the David Patterson administration. Governor Hochul is remembering Ravage as a titan of New York's civic world who left an indelible mark on our state.
He became a good friend and advisor of mine. We had lunch together not that long ago. He told me all the things I need to do, as he always would. But his work with the MTA, the UDC, and as lieutenant governor of the state of New York will always be remembered as part of his legacy. And it is a tremendous loss for all of us as New Yorkers.
Richard Ravage was 89 years old. Tomorrow is primary day in the district attorney races and in Queens and the Bronx, and along with the city council throughout the 5 boroughs. There are about a dozen competitive council races, including District 9 in Central Harlem, where 3 main contenders are competing for the seat left open by Kristen Richardson Jordan, who decided against seeking re-election, and in District 47 in Bay Ridge, Coney Island, and parts of Bath Beach, Brooklyn, where Republican voters will decide who will face off in November against Democratic incumbent Justin Brannan. Wins News Time, 1:26. Time for Bloomberg Money Watch now on 1010 Wins. And here's Ann Cates.
One Wall Street giant says stocks face a wall of worry. Morgan Stanley expects the S&P 500 to end this year at 3,900 before rising to 4,200 in the second quarter of 2024. Strategists say they believe the risks for a major correction have rarely been higher. They are forecasting S&P 500 earnings to be $185 in 2023, well below the average estimate. 2 out of 5 Americans feel the only way they will become homeowners is if they win the lottery. A poll by Divvy Homes finds more than half are confident they will buy a house someday, but close to 60% think they could not afford properties in their current neighborhood. Mortgage rates are high and home inventories are low in many markets. Bloomberg Money Watch at 26 and 56 past every hour. I'm Ann Cates for 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.